Okay. So we'll hopefully you can see me okay. I have my camera like sideways. Um, but anyway, this is pretty simple class. We are going to need a blanket and a bolster. Most of the class we're either going to be supine or prone. We're just going to be like on our back or on our stomachs. And there's actually nothing upright at all. I think the very beginning we'll have like our most upright will be in like a plank situation for a second, and then that's it. I was kind of thinking to have something that I guess I would kind of like more on the restorative side, but with like yin postures. So just kind of thinking about relaxing, resetting, not anything super complicated. And we will get started. So we're going to start in child's pose. And you can use a bolster in front of you, kind of to hug it. That can be more restorative. If your knees are bothering you, sometimes it's nice to put a blanket behind the knees. Also, if your calves are tight, you can roll up a bolster. Good luck with that. Roll up a blanket and place it behind the knees would also add compression to the calves. So it's it kind of like foam rolling basically for your calves. So come into child's pose, and I'm going to fiddle around with my camera just a little bit here because I think it's hard to see. Not that you have to see me that much. That might be better. So, and while you're all in child's pose, I'm going to kind of doing a modified child's pose because I don't want to muffle my voice here. So I'd like you to arrive on your mat and into class and think of where you are right now, how you feel. Maybe it's just a matter of feeling like I can feel the floor beneath me. I can feel my props. I can feel, where the crease is behind my leg. So you're feeling all these things. And then we're going to notice the breath. And usually, especially for me in the beginning of class, like my breath is shorter, quicker. It is very shallow. So we'll take some time to actually start to deepen the breath and bring the breath lower on the inhales. So as you inhale, imagine your belly filling up with air. So your belly will expand and you can feel it pressing into your thighs. And then exhale, letting everything soften. Inhaling, imagine your breath traveling all the way to the base of your spine. And then the belly will expand. And then at the top of the inhale, you will soften everything and exhale. We're going to do a few moments of breath here. Kind of focusing on the breath. Imagine it traveling down the thighs on the inhale. And then exhaling, everything softening. Inhaling, the breath travels to the knees. Exhaling, everything softening. Inhaling, the breath travels to the shins. Next, inhale, the breath travels to the ankle. Inhaling all the way down to the arch of the foot. Inhaling to the ball of the foot. And then inhaling all the way down to the toes. Your next couple inhales as you fill up the whole bottom of your body, all the way to the toes. You can start to fill up the top as well. Inhaling the breath to the toes, to the chest. That whole area expands. Inhaling all the way down and then to the throat. Inhaling, the breath travels to the toes and then down both arms. And this time, inhaling, the breath travels all the way to the toes, all the way to the fingertips, and all the way to the top of the head, filling up the entire body with breath. We're going to take just a couple more breaths here, filling up the entire body. Okay, we're going to move really slowly into our next pose. So we're going to place our hands on the floor, start to move up a tabletop position. And if your ankles were feeling a little bit too compressed here in child's pose, you can tap the tops of the feet on the floor. You can lift the feet and do some ankle rolls. Anytime you get in a position and you're very stiff or you need to move, go ahead and move and then come back into that position again. Take just a couple cat and cow movements. Dropping the belly low, exhaling and rounding. You can kind of curve side to side. Any kind of wiggles that you need. Move forward and back. And then bringing the knees a little bit further back, we're going to lower all the way down, like as if we were lowering from plank. And we're going to move into baby crocodile. So baby crocodile, you're completely flat on the floor, except for your head maybe resting on your forearms. So if you want to turn your head to one side, you can do that, or directly straight up and down. Kind of think it's better to have your forehead facing down, but if that's uncomfortable, you can turn to one side. And then bring your awareness to your belly button. On the inhale, you want your belly button to press down into the floor. So pressing down when you inhale, softening on the exhale. So we're only going to take a couple more breaths here in this position. We're going to move into Sphinx. So you can stay in the baby crocodile the way we were. You can start to come up a little bit with your elbows out quite a ways in front of you. That will be kind of the mildest variation. The more your elbows come up closer to the body and be directly underneath the shoulder, the more intense it can be. So you choose what works for you. You can always put your forearms or your elbows on bolsters or blocks or a cushion or a folded blanket. And again, we're inhaling and pressing our belly button into the floor. On the exhale, we're just allowing. And if your mind starts to wander or you find it difficult to just sit here in stillness, we can start to count the breath. Inhaling 1, exhaling 2. You can keep counting like 3, 4, 5, or you can just 1 and then 2. So if it's a little bit more simple and you don't have to worry about losing count. Anything beyond 2 numbers gets a little complicated. We'll do just about 30 seconds more here in this position. And then moving the elbows out in front of you, kind of coming down slowly. We'll start with the left leg. We'll bring the left leg up alongside the body. And you can even put your bolster underneath it so you can have it propped up. You can have your bolster on the left side here and give it, chokehold kind of hug situation. You can rest your head down on your forearms. You can start to bring your left elbow towards your left knee to take a side bend. You're going to focus on the breath here. You can imagine the breath traveling up and down the right side of your body. You can imagine it traveling in two different directions at the same time or traveling up and down. Imagine it starting from the side of the rib cage maybe and moving up towards the head and down towards the legs. I like that kind of visualization because I think of it more as a stretching sensation. If you have an ujjayi practice or pranayama practice, you can add that in at any point. Probably not an invigorating breath. That might not fit well with the relaxing kind of postures, but a box breath. So breathing in for like 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, exhaling for 4 counts, and holding again for 4 counts. Or just the ujjayi breath. That one's really nice, kind of any time. So very slowly, I'm going to start to stretch out that left leg. If you are bent to one side, you're going to slowly move back towards the center here. You can take a moment in baby crocodile to check in and notice how you feel. And we'll move back into Sphinx or into a seal. So you can take the whatever variation that you took originally, or if you want to add compression, you can bend the knees. Another way to add the compression is to extend the arms and press the floor away. Like I've said many classes, I'm a little too lazy for this, so I like to just bend my knees and stay more upright with the elbows underneath me. I love watching the dogs go by, stuff like that during these videos. Most of the time I just get to see people's ceilings. Puppies are great. We're just going to do a little bit more time here in this pose. Really focus on the breath. Now, if you have the legs lifted, the feet lifted, you're going to start to lower those down. Start to move the elbows out in front of you. You can take baby crocodile again for a few moments and rock the hips side to side. And take a little pressure off that low back. We'll eventually bring the right knee up along the side of the body here, up to the over to the right. And you can put a bolster underneath your leg, or you can hug your bolster. And then we're going to bring the right elbow towards the right knee if you want the side bend. So that's lengthening the left side of the body. I'm just going to switch sides here just so I'm not facing away from the camera. Imagine your breath traveling up and down the left side of your body. You know, I think sometimes about the breath only being in the lungs, you know, but there's more to it. So maybe think about life force, kind of like the blood travels throughout the entire body. So this energy, you know, oxygen travels throughout the body. So yes, the breathing may be controlled by the lungs, but the whole body gets the oxygen, the whole body gets the breath, the blood. If it gets kind of weird to think about, you know, sending the breath somewhere, maybe think about sending, you know, oxygen or blood to those spots, or imagining that the travel of that item moving through the body. If your mind starts to travel to something else besides maybe how you feel in this posture or your breath, see if you can bring it back. Bring it back to your breath. Bring it back to how you feel. There are times where it's just so hard to kind of acknowledge how you feel emotionally, and you got to focus on how you feel physically. Or even just, like we talked about earlier in class about your body touching the floor, the crease behind the right knee, your face resting on your hands. And the breath is always there for you. Come back, notice it. It's not in the future, it's not in the past. The breath is now. It's funny, sometimes pranayama can be used to anchor yourself in the moment, but it can also be used to kind of redirect the mind. We'll start to slide that right leg back. If you are taking a side bend, move back towards the middle of your mat. You can rock your hips side to side. I'm going to do one more prone posture, and we're going to do the belly squish because, oh, I lied. Sorry. Maybe like one other prone posture. Anyway, so the belly squish, so you can lay on the bolster. You can have it long ways or sideways. When it's sideways, you can have it pressed kind of just at the hip points, between the hip points and the ribs, depending on the size of your bolster. And then again, resting your head on your forearms. If you'd like to work on the shoulders, you can cross the left arm under between your chest and your chin. The right arm can be bent as well, but you can rest your forearm or your head on your forearm of your right arm, if that makes sense. So the left arm is across the chest, between the chest and the chin, and the right arm is at your forehead. So belly squish, shoulder opener, a shoulder compression. Now, if you feel any tingling or numbness, you can move your hand or whatever the body part is that's feeling a little numbness. Maybe you have to move it to a different position, a better position. Now, if you feel burning pain or electrical pain, you might want to come out of the pose completely. You don't want to actually feel pain. You can feel compression, you can feel some pressure, some stretching, some twisting. But we don't want to actually feel pain. I love the quote, "There's no prize for suffering." kind of notice your jaw, notice your breath. See if you're clenching your jaw, or if there's any other positions, any other things that you're holding. Like, are you making a fist? Are you contracting any muscles that aren't needed to hold you in this position? And with the belly squish, it's always a great way of noticing the breath. And pressing the belly into the bolster as you inhale. Just relaxing everything, softening on the exhale. Right? If you are crisscrossed with the arms here, you can push yourself up slightly, withdraw the left arm from underneath between your chest and your chin, move that one up towards the top so you can rest your forehead on it, and the right arm will come underneath. Might take a little while to kind of arrange that. So the right arm is underneath between the chest and the chin. And then the forehead is resting on the left forearm. Again, if you notice any parts of the body that are clenched or holding, see if you can allow those parts to soften. It's your jaw, maybe press your tongue just behind the teeth. Allow your mouth to come open a little bit. Take just a few more breaths on the side. We'll lift the head. Bring the right arm out from underneath you. You can push your hips back towards your heels for child's pose. You can move into downward facing dog. So anything your body needs right now, if there's something we're not already doing. Okay, we're going to come onto our backs. So you're gonna want a blanket. So take any movements that you need to in the meantime. We're gonna take a blanket. You're gonna kind of fold it. You don't want it too high. We're gonna place that behind the shoulder blades. And your bolster is gonna go over your head. Not like over your face, but you're gonna lay on your back. Your head will go between your blanket and your bolster. And I realize you probably can't see my blanket. And I'll lean back so my shoulder blades are on my blanket. My head is on the floor and my arms are going to be overhead on the bolster. So if you need multiple bolsters to be kind of higher up, you can do that. So funny, my watch keeps sending me messages. I don't understand what you're saying. I wasn't talking to you. Bring your arms overhead. So, and then you can have your knees bent, you can have your legs long, or you can take the bottom of the feet together with the knees wide, Baddha Konasana, or cross the legs, Sukhasana. So any leg variation that you want. If your shoulders feel really open and you want to remove the bolster or put the bolster over the arms, you can do that. We want it to be more of a restorative type feeling. So we don't want to go to your edge necessarily. As you start to open, maybe then you can remove the bolster. Try not to go to an extreme right away. And then again, relax your jaw, relax your face. And if relaxing, the idea of relaxing is too hard, because I know for some of us, it's, we need to relax. Think about softening, you know, just letting the muscles on your face let go. And if you have a problem with clenching your jaw, which is something I do it all the time, maybe even take a smile instead. So kind of bring a smile to your lips. I was reading an article the other day about how you can do a fake it till you make it kind of situation with smiling. That just the physical act of smiling can start to change the reaction of your brain and how you're actually feeling. So it can release chemicals or whatnot. Not exactly sure, but it can kind of trick your brain into thinking that you're actually happy. I mean, you can be happy. You can be happy without smiling, but if you want to kind of enhance that feeling, you can smile for no reason. And if you're laying in your living room with a big smile, listening to some lady on your laptop or your tablet, and you're just sitting there with a big smile on your face, if somebody else walks into the room, you can really freak them out. If that doesn't make you smile, I don't know what will. I was reading this Buddhist meditation about like every time you inhale, you know that you're inhaling, and every exhale you smile, especially in times of stress and some team meeting or something at work, and I was getting really upset. And so I kept inhaling and then exhaling and smiling, and it was really freaking people out. And then eventually I just started laughing. And I worked in the mental health field. I kind of still do, but well, lucky I didn't get locked up. Somebody working with me. So if your body is more open and you can remove the bolster and put your arms underneath, you can do that. Totally optional. Take just a few more breaths here. Okay, you can start to roll over to one side. You can remove the blanket. You can move your bolster down closer to your hip. And then we'll lay down. So you're going to lay down with over the bolster, with the bolster at your hip or at your waist. If you want, you can take your upper arm up and over. So I have my left side on the bolster and my right arm up and over. You don't have to be on the same side. It's just happened to be where I ended up. My right arm can lay down in front of me, kind of relaxing in front of me. I can bring it behind me, opening up that shoulder, or overhead. So the choice is yours. If you're laying on your left side and you want to kind of create more of a stretch here, you can rest your right leg in front of the left so that you're kind of having this stretch through the outer hip as well. There's some people on Facebook today talking about they were looking for guineas, and the Tractor Supply in St. Albans had guineas this morning, and they were all gone in like 30 minutes or something crazy like that. Someone came in and bought them all. Now I only have 7 now, but I had 8, and there was just one out back here singing its song. And I'm wondering who in the heck would want that many guineas? clearly first time guinea owners. Or maybe they're trying to have a war with their neighbors. I love them. I think they're great though. My husband doesn't care for them. It's a little annoying though when people come over, the guineas like rush over and have to say something obviously very important to them, and they will speak over you. Okay, we'll start to switch sides here. If you need to, if you're gonna come through tabletop, maybe take some cat and cow. I'm going to move my bolster to the other side so I don't have to turn away from you guys. Again, I got bumped off the internet here a little bit, but I'm back. Just a few more breaths here on this side. And start to come out of it. You can, again, take cat and cow. Taking any movements that you want. And so the next pose that I want to do is reclining cow-faced pose. So cow-faced pose is the one where one arm is over and the other arm is under. So we can start kind of laying back with our arms at our sides. You can take your left arm and place it, your left hand and place it between your shoulder blades. Now the right arm, you can kind of shift to the left and bring your right arm up your back. So they don't actually have to touch, just have them back there. So for me, I have my head resting on the forearm of my left arm and my right arm is kind of up my back. And they're nowhere near close to touching, so they don't have to. If you can and that feels good to you, go ahead. That's pretty extreme. You can start to inch them closer to each other as we stay here if you want. The legs can be just like we did before in a couple poses ago, so they can be feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana. You could have them crossed, Sukhasana. You can have them out straight. Any kind of leg variation that feels good to you. This is pretty intense. So shoulder stretch. So comfortable to you, or you feel some pain. If it's uncomfortable, it's okay. If it's painful, then don't do it. But you can start to move your hands away from each other if that's more comfortable. You want uncomfortable that you can sit with. And as you lay here, you might find that it's actually not too bad. But wait until we move. Might find it a little bit more uncomfortable. So just about 2 more minutes here on this side. Maybe not quite. Think of 12 full breaths. And so we'll remove each hand from underneath. Oh my, that feels like something, doesn't it? Take a little break here with your hands at your stomach. Take some wrist rolls. And you guessed it, we're gonna switch. So the left arm will go up your back as you shift kind of to the right. You can worm it up there. And then the right arm will come overhead and rest between the shoulder blades, or heading that direction anyway. That's really quite comfortable on the other side, so I had to move. So you can always go deeper, so kind of more add intensity by bringing your hands closer to each other as your body starts to open. Or if it becomes too uncomfortable, you can start to move the hands away from each other. The legs, you can do the same way that you had them, or you can switch them. Kind of like the Sukhasana, legs crossed, or a hip flexor stretcher. So if your mind is started to wander again, bring it back to the breath. If you start to wonder if I'm still here, I am. Talking to Mary the other day about class and about how, you know, in a online class, if there's a big long pause, you wonder, well, is she still there? Did we lose her? Is it buffering? I did a guided meditation one time where I think my phone died or something, but it was sitting there for, it seemed like forever, and I was like, what time is it? Like, how long have I been doing this? And yeah, sure enough, my phone was like dead, and so then I've been a little paranoid ever since. I've also had another yoga class I was doing online, and it was a pre-recorded video, and I was watching it, and it was buffering, and I was like, oh my god, how long is this lady holding this for? I'm like, I thought it was a vinyasa class, like, so kind of a fairly speedy flow, and I look up, and oh yeah, she's like stuck in a position, buffering. So I have a little bit of paranoia when it comes to that. So more breaths here on the side. And so just slowly get your arms out from underneath you. You can hug your knees in towards the chest. Rock across the spine. We're going to hug the right knee in and extend the left leg long and sit it back down onto the floor. And we're hugging that right knee in. You can bring it alongside the body, kind of bring it out to the right, kind of creating some openness. See how far you can bring it out to the right without kind of losing track of the floor here. Take just a breath or two here. And then we're going to bring the right knee across the body and bring it over towards the left. So you have to shift your hips to the right. You can do that. And bring your right knee over towards the left. So your right hip will be on top, your right thigh will be on top, but your shoulders will still be on the floor. You can just rut your, both knees can be bent and both knees facing the left, or you can have the left leg still straight. You can cross the right foot underneath the left knee. Your arms can be alongside the body, out to a T, overhead, anywhere that you find comfortable, or you can have them rested on your stomach. If you have a shoulder off the floor, if your right shoulder is lifted, you can place your blanket underneath your right shoulder for a little bit more support. You can place a blanket or the bolster under your knees for more support. Your body may be more likely to let go if it's feeling supported. Gosh, that applies to a lot of things, doesn't it? If you want to add to the stretch, you can turn to look over your right shoulder, if that's comfortable on the neck. Do about 6 more breaths here on this side. So if your legs are crossed in any way, you can uncross them and roll back to the right side. Shift your hips back to the middle of your mat. You can hug both knees in towards the chest again. Rock side to side, rock across the spine. You can hug the knees in a lot and kind of reach the upper back area, mid back area. And pushing the knees away, you get more into the hips. Kind of bringing the knees forward and back. Okay, we're gonna hug the left knee in now towards the chest and extend the right leg out long and all the way down to the floor. Okay, the right knee hugging in. You can bring the left knee hugging in. Left knee goes out to the left. Opening up here on this side. Just a couple more breaths here as we keep bringing the left knee out to the left. You can start to shift the hips to the left slightly and then bring the left knee over to the right. So we're crossing the left leg over the body. So the left hip and left thigh is facing the ceiling. You can kind of wrap the left foot underneath the right leg. You can have both knees together, facing off to the right, your choice. Have your shoulders on the mat. And again, if you need to be supported, definitely take that. You can kind of get more out of it sometimes by being supported. Your body will actually relax deeper. And if your mind has drifted away, notice where it went. Be kind to yourself and draw it back. These poses are made to kind of stress, compress, twist, stretch the fascia and the joints, things like that. And the fascia and tissue around the joints. Not to the point where we want to create joint instability, but now I just completely forgot where I was going with that. Oh, that no, even though it's this kind of like stressing of the tissues, we're trying to kind of ease the stress in the mind. So it's a different kind of stress. The stress on the body, the stress on the tissue is a good stress. Relaxing the mind so it stops kind of racing from thing to thing. That's a good kind of relaxation for the brain. It takes practice. Clearly, I am still very much working on that myself. I can't even follow my own train of thought. If you want to add to the twist, you can turn to look over your left shoulder. Point your face over your left shoulder. Now, some people know exactly the right thing to say. I envy those people. I want people that are things, if they know that they're saying something profound, or if they have to try. Is it like accidental, or do they have to like think of it? Create this thought and be like, wow, that's really something, or is it accidental? So just 6 more breaths here on this side. Start to bring the head back to neutral. Uncross the legs if they're crossed. Tilt back to the left, bring your hips back into the center of the mat. Moving very slowly. And start to bring the knees up towards the chest. Rock across the spine. Then circle the knees, pushing them away, bringing them in. One of those things that I forget about doing, like on my own, that feels really good. Circle to the other direction. And then you can place your feet back on the floor. So knees are bent. So you have a couple of options here. So you can do a supported bridge, placing something under your hips. If you want to do a chest opener, you can place the blanket that you had behind the shoulder blades earlier. That could be a very gentle way of doing it, placing that blanket underneath the shoulder blades again. So mild chest opener. You can bring the arms out to the side. So depending on what you'd like, if you want to make the recliner with the bolster underneath, a block underneath your bolster, so your bolster's on an angle, you can do that. So pick whatever variation that you want. You can do supported fish, supported bridge, legs up a wall. I think people kind of know what they need at the end of class, so choose your own adventure on that one. And then if your legs are up, we're going to stay here for a while. So if you need to come down, you just come down whenever you need to, whenever that feels like enough for you. We'll take probably about 6 more breaths here in this position, whatever your position of choice. But if you need to come down sooner, definitely do that. So you can start to slowly come down. We're going to move into our final relaxation pose. So whatever that might be, if you're doing a heart opener still and you want to stay there, go ahead. If you want to make a recliner with your bolster and block, you can do that. If you want to keep your legs up a wall, you can do that. Any kind of relaxing pose that you can feel supported in. And so I saw today a option of side lying Savasana, which is basically how I just kind of to the side here. So however you want to do it, legs over a bolster, it's all good. Just start to bring our awareness back to the body, back to the breath. To notice the rise and the fall of the belly and the chest as you breathe. And start to wiggle the fingers and the toes, opening and closing the hands. You can start to rock the head side to side. And then you take bigger movements, wrist and ankle rolls, a big stretch. We're actually going to finish supine. We'll finish where we're laying right here, but we'll just bring our hands to our heart. Take a moment to thank ourselves for practicing together this afternoon, evening, or later on in time. May we all feel loved, grateful, and connected, and may we have the strength and courage to overcome any obstacles before us. From my heart to your heart, peace and namaste. And let me stop the recording.